Dharma Bites is brought to you by Free Buddhist Audio, the Dharma for your life. Our work is funded entirely by donations from our generous listeners. If you would like to help us keep this free, make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. Thank you, and happy listening.
Our teacher, Sangharakshita, he once said in a lecture, we've got all these hundreds, if not thousands, of Buddhist texts in the world, and they can seem really overwhelming and baffling, and which one should you read? They seem to contradict each other in places, and it's all this vast literature over a 2,500-year tradition. And he said if you took all those books and you boiled them all down to one word, that one word would be impermanence. And this is what we touched on this morning. That the sort of deepest truth of Buddhism is realising that everything, absolutely everything, is impermanent, which means it's changing. And the Buddha saw that we suffer because we don't live in harmony with that truth. I often think about that we got the wrong glasses on. We're having a continual error of perception where we're imputing solidity and fixity onto things that have, by their very nature, change. That was a very poorly constructed sentence. You know what I mean? Everything's changing all the time, and yet we see things as static. And that's why we suffer. You know, that's Buddhism in one sentence. So I found that very helpful. You boil it all down to impermanence. And then what falls out of that are two other teachings, because it's all very well to think everything in the world is impermanent, but you also turn it in on yourself. And you realise, oh my God, you know, I think I'm sort of static, and I live my life as if I'm static and I'm a fixed entity. But actually, if I really turn my awareness inwards into my mind, into my heart, into my body, I then find in there as well, everything is changing. And that's called the teaching of insubstantiality. So everything's impermanent, and then I am insubstantial. Not in the sense that I don't exist at all, but that I don't exist as a fixed entity. And then the other teaching that falls out of that is that we experience life as unsatisfactory because we don't live in harmony with the truth of impermanence. And the image, the traditional image for that, which I think is really great actually, you've got a chariot. This is obviously a traditional ancient Indian image, a chariot being pulled along by bullocks or horse or something, and it's got an ill-fitting wheel. So the chariot's kind of going along and it's going clunk, 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 because it's got this ill-fitting wheel. And it's a bit like we live our lives a bit like a chariot with an ill-fitting wheel. The amazing thing is we're continually surprised by the clunk. We think it shouldn't be happening, which is extraordinary because it's been happening for a very long time in the case of some of us, this clunky wheel. And the Buddha's saying, well, that is the nature of life when you don't live in harmony with the fact that everything's changing.
We hope you enjoyed today's Dharma Bite. Please help us keep this free. Make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. And thank you.